What's up, party people? Welcome to Geared Up. This is our weekly live broadcast where we talk about lighting stuff. We talk about gear, we do breakdowns, we do lighting setups, we talk about technical stuff. We have fun, take a lot of questions, and try to learn cool lighting stuff together. Coming from you from this side starting today, because we're already set up right there. Because we're going to jump right into it, because we're going to kind of run through a bunch of things, and at some point during this live I'm going to have to build my 4x6 softbox, and we're going to do that one live, so that's always a treat. So again, today we're talking about how to make backgrounds white, and you might say to yourself, Chris, the background's already white. How about I just take a picture and then I'll have a white background? Let me show you something. Kate, if you will.
I would love to.
So, depending on how you're set up with your light, just because the background is white doesn't mean that the way the light is going to fall onto the background is going to allow it to appear white. So, when we take an image of Kate here on a white background, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful image. Stay right there for just 1 second. Beautiful image, right? But that's not a white background at all. That's very gray. And that's because the light is falling on Kate, and it's not making it all the way back here at the same intensity as it is to get a proper exposure on her. So what happens is that light falls off, the background goes dark, Bob's your uncle. You don't have a white background. And there's some things that you can do to achieve that white background depending on the look that you're going for, or depending on space constraints or other things that you might have to deal with. So, for example, let's say we only have one light and we want the background to still be kind of white. Really the only option we have is one. Kate, do you mind stepping all the way back to the background? I don't know how this is going to look because we haven't actually shot this, but I'm going to just lift the light up a little bit higher so it's coming down a little bit more. But because now we're exposing for Kate back here, and we're going to see how the light does it, because we got some distance in a softbox here. But because we're exposing for Kate here, the photon should hit her in the background relatively even, and that should give us a white background. Now, the thing that we are probably going to introduce is some sort of a shadow. Hopefully the softbox helps mitigate that a little bit, but let's see. Here we go. I'm going to power up. Let's do a TTL shot. John, if you're watching this, love you. No light meter. Cool. Down there, 3, 2, 1. Cool. The background's wider. Granted, I'm probably getting pretty close to the top end of my power on this D30 with that. What are we at? 9.3. So here, I'm just going to juice it up to 10 just for funsies. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. There we go. So you can get a white background with one light. It's one of my favorite looks especially with the hard reflector. It actually looks really nice with the 3-foot Octa. If it was supposed to be all white, I would sweep it out. But still, it looks really, really nice. But that's how you can get the white background look with just one light. If that's all you have to work with, that's one really, really good option. Now, let's say you have 2 lights, right? The challenge in a white background, especially with 2 lights, is you need the light to come pretty evenly to the background itself. What most people do, and I've done this in the past when I was just learning this thing, is they'll take the light. Let's take this B20 right here, for example, and they'll put it so Kate's going to be standing roughly right there.
You may jump in?
Yeah, jump in place. So Kate's going to be standing in her spot right there, and so you're going to do your best to try to hide this light behind her. Granted, you're coming from an angle, so you're going to be able to see it more, but the pitfalls of something like this is, if I'm shooting, and we'll see here in just a second when we take the shot. Stop calling me. I forgot to go into do not disturb mode. The pitfalls of this are going to be that there's a chance you're going to see the light stand in the shot. So we're going to take the shot, show you the white background. The other thing is the light, depending on the distance that we are from the background, isn't going to be as even as we would like it to be. So let's do this first. I'm going to retake a TTL shot here with Kate closer again, now that the light's changed. Actually, let me bring this back down to the height that I want it.
Ow. Let it.
Stop eating here.
I know. Hungry. It's lunchtime here.
Lunchtime. All right, here we go. 3. Oh, let me pivot this down a little more. 3, 2, 1. Oh, no, I didn't go into TTL mode.
Sorry, that felt hot.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh,
It also felt hot.
that was hot. For some reason, it's mad at me. Oh, you know what? There we go. Now she's happy. All right, so we're reset there. So let's turn on light B, which is the one behind her. And we're going to fire this thing off at, like, let's say power level of 8. I think that might be pretty good. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. So the challenge in shooting with the light is twofold. The first one that you see that's popped up there, if you look between her legs, there's a light stand sticking down. If you don't mind doing the Photoshop work, you can do the Photoshop work. But the other problem here is you can see that the background's not white all the way around. And that's because the light's being thrown around in a circle, but it also doesn't have enough distance to illuminate the background top to bottom in the space that we're working with. So that can be a challenge. This is where, what's up?
I was just moving you so you can...
Oh, you were saying that I was here. Yeah. Gotcha. So the challenge can be is that light right there isn't going to, we should really switch this to where I point that way because it feels weird whenever I do that, but I digress. The challenge is again, we're getting that gradient across the screen. So we have darker gray up around the top. As we come down, that light's actually starting to fill up. We can change that a little bit by raising the height of the light, but the place that we're going to start to run into issues again, depending on how high we have to raise it, the light might start creeping back in the shot. Let's raise it up a little bit. Let's see what it looks like. Jump back in here for me, Kate.
You got it.
We're gonna run through.
I have to like try to like hide the light with my leg, or like.
I mean, you can try to. We can mess around with it. And so I'm gonna raise this up. I'm gonna try to keep it. Kind of go into your pose real fast.
Okay, something like that.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to take the light up around neck height. Let's see if we're able to alleviate or eliminate that gradient by doing that with one light.
Make my hair very large.
And you're just gonna change your lower body.
Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of.
Okay, cool. Cool, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Cool, let's see where we're at with this one. So with the change in her body position, we have successfully hidden the light. I don't actually see it behind her head, but now we have a nice white light directly behind her, but there's still some gradient up top, and now we've introduced a little bit more gradient down below. Again, simply just because the light is round, it doesn't have enough space, enough distance to illuminate more of the background evenly. So you can do one thing in particular that I think is a really good, you can actually do two things. One would be to get some sort of a background that you can shoot through. So like a 6x6 butterfly or something like that, like a nice scrim. Not a scrim, but like a 6x6 diffusion or you know, like a 4x4 diffusion or something like that. And then you could shoot the light through it. So, and then you could also double it up with something like, let me show you this. This is always a really good option for that. I'm not gonna build my 6x6 because at some point we're just gonna run out of room in the studio and it's tight. So what you would do, a great move would be go with a shallow umbrella, like this one. White's nice just because it throws light a lot more even. So you could bounce your light into the umbrella and then bounce it back out towards whatever diffusion panel you have. Again, this is a great option if you have two lights and you're trying to get that white background. So I'm trying to offer up solutions. The other option would be to use a softbox. So let's build a 4x6 really fast. I told you we were going to do this together. I feel like I've gotten pretty good at this, so this is not like, it's not that big of a deal.
Slightly less embarrassing every time.
I'm 100% going to embarrass myself. I think I've just, see, like right there, Velcro's already caught. I think I've already just gotten accustomed to the fact that I'm definitely going to do something to embarrass myself, so I just find, I find solace in my consistency. So let's.
You want cam 2?
You can do. You know what? You're the operator. You're the smooth operator. Do your
We're going
thing.
big. You can see all of the things being constructed.
And there's one thing that popped up in my brain too with this Softbox solution, and we're going to test it also. Again, it's the reason I wanted to kind of just jump into today because Velcro. This is the reason I wanted to just jump into today because I knew that we were going to kind of jump through a bunch of stuff just to. Congratulations, Chris. You didn't embarrass yourself today. At least not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. There's still time. There's
though.
still time. So a 4x6 is a really awesome option for a white background. And here's the part where I embarrass myself. Come on, rubberneck. There we go. It's not even that. I just couldn't get the collar on for some reason today. Probably because it's heavy. Oh, also, this is the upside to the new B20s. This is a B20 with a 4x6 on it. And I ain't sweating it. I mean, I know that we already put like the soft zoom 180 on it a couple weeks ago. And I mean, I was kind of sweating that one.
You're sweating that one. Let's get real.
But the 4x6, I ain't sweating. And this is one of my favorite modifiers. I just wish we had one of the pop open ones, but I do believe that there are some limitations. So let's go with this big 4x6. Let's see what happens.
And again, if you have any questions, please pop them in.
Yep, I just want to kind of see.
We're here live.
Yeah, we're doing it live. I also didn't put the handle on this thing, so I'm going to prop it up a little bit so we can try to get a little straighter. That's cool. Let's see what that looks like. Let's see how the shooting into the softbox looks. I might have to adjust it based on how much coverage it has on Kate. So come forward to your spot a little bit. I think I need to actually come forward with it. Cool. So again, a softbox is a really great option. We're shooting 3/4, so we have to kind of just make sure we have enough coverage. But if you're doing this for like headshots or something like that, like if you're running and gunning and doing headshots on location, this is, again, if that kind of high key white background is the look that you like, this is an awesome option for it, especially for 2 lights. In the space that we're working, wow, I really have this thing all tilted.
Well, I'm gonna lean a little.
You're fine. I just want to try to mitigate as much as the edges as I can. It's not probably gonna be perfect, but it's not bad. Here we go. Let's see how this background is gonna light up. It's power level of 8. We'll see what happens. 3, 2, 1. Oh, yep. So not bad. So we have a nice white background, a big 4x6. We have tons of coverage. It actually looks really nice. The cool thing about it is it's given us a nice little wrap. I don't think we're flaring. So one of the issues that you can actually run into with a white background and when you're shooting light into it is it can flare. So it can actually essentially turn into a light source and start throwing light back at your camera, and you can get some loss in contrast. It doesn't look awesome. But this does a really, really good job. Now, one of the things that you have to worry about with a softbox is the light is still coming directly at your subject. That's why you have that center baffle on the inside. But because it's a bigger softbox, the light can start to taper off a little bit towards the edges. And so I was wondering, and we're going to try it real fast before we break it down and we go to an ideal way of doing a white background, which is 2 lights to the background. I was asking myself, Chris, what if you switched it around and you used the zoom rod as the thing lighting up the softbox? That's what we're gonna do. Watch out real fast, Kate. This is gonna come down. Again, this is probably where I'm gonna embarrass myself. Nope. Oh, I didn't embarrass myself.
Josh wants to know, curious if you have a wide zoom reflector in the room.
I do. Actually, I think I might even actually have 2. The wide zooms are, I do have 2 wide zooms. The wide zooms are actually quite nice. They're better for pro heads, but they do a really nice job, and I can throw both of them over there. I forgot that I had 2 of them. I used to only have 1, and somehow I've acquired quite the catalog of hard reflectors. I went to go hang. I just got my white telezoom back in the other day, and I went to go hang it up. I was like, oh, I don't have any space.
Good problem.
So yeah, we can try it with the wide zooms. The wide zooms do throw nicely. Again, they're more better for the pro heads, but we can do it with the flat fronts and see how we feel about that. B20 off, again, I really like the new B20s and B30s. Knowing I can just kind of put whatever I want on them and not have to worry about it too much is a really nice thing. So let's get this. I love the zoom rod. This thing will make any softbox indirect. What are the advantages of an indirect softbox, you say? I'm glad you asked. So one, hotspot elimination. So because the light is firing back into the softbox, as opposed to directly out of the softbox, you don't have to worry about any hotspots in the middle, which is really nice. It's lovely. What also you will find is that the softbox is now being lit back in towards itself, so it tends to fill really evenly. I'm never going to speak in absolutes because that's when I get to eat my words. But it does a really good job of evening out the softbox. Come on, baby. There we go.
Hi. Welcome in.
What's up, everybody? It's good to see you all.
Nice to see everybody in the house.
I got all the people that I saw at Build. I know Build was, 3 weeks ago. But if I'm being honest, I got dog sick afterwards. So I haven't really existed ever since. So to everybody that I ran into at Build, I loved seeing you. It was awesome. You all made the show so good. So good. All right, cool. So let's put this B20 inside this softbox. We're gonna have to take out the center baffle real fast. Not a big deal. Oh yeah, Velcro on a microphone.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just making sure you guys are listening.
Yeah. Next, we're going to be rubbing our fingernails across a chalkboard.
Ooh.
Good times for everyone. So here we go. Put the cage back on. And so I'm going to push the B20 all the way as far as I can out of the softbox. The nice thing about the 4x6 is how much space it actually has inside the softbox. It might be a little mucky down here at the bottom because I'm just gonna leave the center diffuser in there just because I don't really want to take it out all the way out. But just know that like if it falls off at the bottom, there's a clump of diffuser down there and I didn't want to do nothing with it. All right. And we're gonna, again, make sure that this is zoomed out as far as I can zoom it out. Cool. All right, Kate. And here's what's really cool. I don't know if you can see this, but the 4x6 is such a big softbox that the B20 is here, like still pretty deep inside of it. So we have it zoomed all the way out. It should fill up the softbox nice. I haven't tested this yet, so I don't actually know how it's gonna work out, but in theory, I think it's gonna be kind of nice. So, ready to rock? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Looks lovely. I was totally right about the little bit of a clump of diffusion down at the bottom. You can see it sitting down there at the corner, but the soft zoom does a really nice job of getting that softbox illuminated all the way around. Does it fall off a hair at the edges? Yes, it does. And again, down at the bottom, left and right, you can see where that diffuser is clumping up. It's okay. This is for demonstration purposes. But the zoom rod really does help out the 4x6. It's also a good idea if this is the route you want to go and you're still shooting with B10s or B10Xs that can't handle the 4x6's weight. The zoom rod is actually supporting the softbox at this point. So you can use, technically you could stick an A2 in there. I don't know that it would light up the way that you want it to, but you can stick an A2 in there and you won't have anything to worry about. So again, love the zoom rod with any softbox, but I really like it with the 4x6, 5-foot Octas and stuff like that. So cool. So if you only have 2 lights to do, this is a really awesome way to get some lovely light. And then you could, if you wanted to, you could shape the light up a little bit more with a couple of V-flats. Here, let's just...
Can you stay in here?
Yeah, just stay in the box. Let's make a box.
Make a box.
So we're going to use the V-flats to do a little bit of negative fill.
Can our friend see it?
Oh, down she goes. See, this is the part where I embarrass myself.
Yay!
I did not.
That is why we have...
Yeah, well, I bumped it, so I put a foot forward, but then, hey, could you grab that sandbag off of that rolly stand right there?
I would love to.
I put a foot forward, but what I didn't do was weigh it down. So we're gonna do this real fast.
So let this be your reminder.
Let this be your reminder. If you think that you should put a sandbag on it and you don't, do it anyway. There we go. Now we're in business. Like I said, I was gonna do it at some point. There's my moment.
We're all good. Okay, I'm making sure. Trying to see what's going on.
This one's gonna be hard to see just because the things. And these V-flats are here for a reason. We're gonna talk about V-flat options also and what they do. But since we're kind of set up, I just wanna see if we can add a little bit of dimension to Kate's face with some negative fill. We're shooting, let's have some fun. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Cool. I'm just gonna pull up these real fast and see if we have a big difference. Come here, click there. So yeah, so it got rid of some of the reflections around the sides, some of the wrap, but I think it looks really, really nice. It's subtle, but I like it a lot. So cool. That is the options for 2 lights and a white background. Ideally, you would do your white background with 2 lights. That's because you can flank your subject on both sides with the light itself, and you can get a nice even cast across the whole background. And then there's some other things that you can do to kind of make it even more even, if you will. And we're gonna do that right now. So if you've never shot white backgrounds, and I might be preaching to the choir with some of you, and that's fine, but as much as we like to take click Fresnels and shoot them into Fresnel smalls and do really funky stuff, I want to make sure that we have some of the basics covered for people who are just getting into this stuff too. Maybe, maybe you love the idea of shooting a white background and you've jumped in there before and you're like, man, that background is not white. So
let's see, so I'm gonna try to read this. There's lots of numbers.
It's all good.
Getting background walls outdoors with white. The current wall is mucky colored using a Canon RF 135mm. You probably need to read
Here, let me check this out.
It has lots of beats.
So pop it up on the screen so people can read along with me. Also, apologies. I'm going to do this real fast. Hang on a second. I'm not 100% recovered back from this just yet. Here, let me come around to the side so it's not a weird blank screen. So someone said getting background walls outside to appear white. The current wall is mucky colored using Canon RF 135 and f2.8 IS lens at f8 for technical reasons. Perfect position for subject for a dreamy afternoon glow. It's going to be one of those things where, so if you're shooting it indirectly, like if the light is, like you said, a dreamy afternoon glow, so my guess is it's kind of starting to get closer to golden hour. Correct me if I'm wrong.
He also popped this in here.
Oh, hold on.
That helps.
Why not 2 1x4 soft boxes on either side pointing in the background? You could do 2 1x4s, and we're gonna get into 2 light setups here, especially someone's also asked about the wide zooms. We're gonna explore all of those in hopefully about a 10-ish minute section. I don't want to go too crazy long. But the tough thing whenever you're shooting outside with a wall and your subject is going to be how much light's actually making it to your background. So if you have your subject on the wall and everything's exposed the way that you want it to, it's probably not going to go stark white, because unless you overexpose the image a little bit, and then again, I can't say that it's necessarily going to go stark white, but you're going to have to kind of push the image over a little. The best way to do it is honestly direct sunlight. So like have the sun the other direction. It's going to make some shadows. I like that look personally, but direct light right onto the thing is going to be your best option for making the background appear more white, more even. With that softer look, the later in the afternoon look, you're probably going to have to push your exposure over a little bit, or bring in some lights. So, but if you're trying to do it au naturel, you're gonna have to push your exposure over a little bit. So let me tear down this softbox just enough for us to keep moving. All right.
Are we doing wide zoom?
We are gonna go 3 lights. We're gonna talk about how we're gonna place them. And we will do wide zooms here in a second. There we go. Perfect. I'm just going to quickly fold this up and throw it out of the way, and I'll clean it up later. And by later, I mean next week right before live.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. So you stay there. Perfect. So ideally, when you're shooting a white background, by the way, here's the zoom rod if you didn't see it just a second ago. Kind of broken into all its pieces. So if you're going to shoot a white background, ideally you're going to do it with 2 lights. That's going to give you better coverage over the entire background itself and allow for more evenness, especially if you're shooting kind of like what we are, which is 3/4 length or full body. That's going to be ideal. And then there's some other things that you can do to help out even more. There's modifiers you can use, which we've talked a little bit about as we're moving along, but I want to put this here. So one of the best things you can do for something like this is, so let me kind of come over here. One of the best things you can do for something like this is to have something like a V-flat. How that's going to help you is pretty simple. It's going to keep extra light coming from the sides of the flash from into your subject. Now, you can do that with 1x4 strip boxes. I personally don't love doing it with strip boxes because I just don't feel like you get enough light side to side. Now 1x4 top to bottom, you're getting some nice light, but I just don't, I want the light to be wider. So that's why I don't like 1x4s. If that works for you, if you shoot a white background and strip lights onto your background is what works for you, I'm not telling you to stop. I just don't like it for myself. So the way that I normally shoot it is with V-flats. So I'll use V-flats to block my light, and I won't put any modifier onto, hi there, I won't put any modifier onto the light itself, just so I can get the most light spread possible. Now, if you don't have V-flats or you're not working with it, you could always go get some black poster board or something to make a flag just to keep that light from kicking over onto your subject if you want the light to stay super wide, like I do. And so that's what I do. And then I take the V-flat, Kate, I'm sorry, I'm gonna bump into you a little bit, but I go a little bit wider on the V-flat, like this. Sorry, I'm just jamming it all in there, I feel like a jerk. And then I take it to the side like this. I know you're not gonna be able to really see what's happening from the wide shot, but at least we're here. So it's wide and to the side, and then I like to point it towards the center for the most part. And we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna fix this. Bring this V-flat in like this. And we're gonna talk about V-flats again more here in a second. Now, what I was talking about earlier too with the umbrellas, you could also use the umbrellas here in a situation to make the light go even wider. So umbrella here would be a really nice choice if you wanted. Again, we could use those wide zoom reflectors, which we'll throw in here in a second, and we'll see how that light changes. But yeah, these are all really, really good options. So here we go, Kate. Let's have you jump in here. I know that my C light is currently turned off. And if I remember from our testing, we need roughly 8.5 on the power on these background lights. So we're stopping a half down from full power. These are the 250 watt lights. Let's kick this closed a little bit because I see it kind of creeping into the shot. I'm not gonna overly police it, but yeah, here we go. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Nice. So the light, for the most part, I want to see this background. The light, for the most part, is falling off a little bit towards the top. That's the little black mark that you see, and then the 2 subsequent black marks to the side of it are the shadows from my clip that keeps my background from unraveling. So that's a clip.
That's pretty frilly too, actually.
Yeah, I honestly want to push the power maybe a half a stop more on each one. Let's go to 9 on both of these. These are the 250 watt lights in the back. These are the B20s. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. So the nice thing about coming at it with 2 lights is you keep it pretty dang even top to bottom. It's a really nice, clean look. It gives you the ability to space the lights out however you want to. You don't have any weird light stands coming from between your subject's legs. So you're able to get the body position that you actually want, as opposed to having to try to hide something with a body position that maybe isn't the one that you're looking for the shot. Maybe it doesn't tell the story of the image that way. So this is a really, really good look. Now, sorry, I'm gonna do this again. I know how to turn that button off. So another option you could do for some of this, so let me address one of the things that makes doing this with V-flats really nice too. So because we have negative fill here on the outsides, what we're gonna be able to do with her face is contour it a little bit more. So we're gonna be able to take some of that light away from the sides of her face. So we're gonna get a little bit more like contouring here on the sides of her face and her body. I like that look. So this is kind of where I go when I go with the white background, just because I want some more of that that negative fill here on the sides. You don't have to go that route. We'll take the V-flats away here in just a second and look at it with the reflectors and see how we like that look as well. Another thing that you can do with the V-flats that's really helpful, if you need, is you can actually take your light. Let's do this. Let's go. You can take your light, and instead of using your V-flats like just something to block, we can actually turn the V-flats into a light. So we can actually just take the light itself, shoot it into the V-flat. We want to still make sure it stays off our subject, so we're just going to we're going to play with this. So that's off Kate right there. We do the same thing here. And what we're doing is essentially what I was talking about with the umbrellas. So what we're doing now is we're going to shoot the light into the V-flat. The V-flat is going to become the light shaper. And
Paul John, he was asking you to do this exactly.
oh, was he? Yeah. So now we can take the V-flat and we can shoot the light directly into it. And what this is going to do, and you can also vary it, the distance of the light into the V-flat. And what that's going to do is it's going to illuminate more of the V-flat. So we're gonna shoot this in the V-flat. Let me just kind of get you into position. I want to make sure that I'm keeping the light from flaring on you, Kate. Okay. Again, apologies everyone. Got a little bit of a tickle in the old throat. Let's go here. Now, because we're bouncing the light into a V-flat now, we are going to have to power up a little bit. And luckily I still have another stop of light before I'm out of juice. But what this is going to do is it's now going to make the modifier that's lighting the background bigger. So this is, again, when someone was asking about 1x4 strip lights and why I don't love them, is because while I have light in this direction relatively large, in this direction I'm limited to that 1 foot. Whereas now by using these V-flats, I have these almost probably 4x6 size modifiers. They're going to be shooting that back into the shot. So I'm going to power up to 10. Full power on both of these. You ready, Kate?
Yeah, let's go.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. And that does a beautiful job of evening out that background. Again, because the modifier, or because the V-flats are so large, we're making 2 giant modifiers from the side, throwing light towards that background and illuminating it. So top to bottom, we're a lot more even. We still were able to use the V-flats to kind of section off the light from Kate, so we don't have to worry about it hitting her and, you know, causing a random hard light to be cast on her cheek or any part of her body that we don't want that light to be on. So V-flats are really, really dynamite for that. So again, you can use the V-flats and fire it straight. You can fire it into the V-flat. The downside to firing into the V-flat, let's take it down to that power level of 9 when we are shooting it directly. The downside to shooting into the V-flat is it does take a little bit more power. So here we go. This is what it would have looked like if we wouldn't have changed anything. 3, 2, 1. A little less even. Not bad.
I like it though.
It's not bad. Mm-hmm. It's not, there's definitely more of a gradient. Let's do one thing. Let's raise the light up higher. We're gonna put it at head height with Kate. We're gonna power it back up to 10. Or actually, we'll shoot it like this, and then we'll power it back up to 10. Because again, it definitely made a lower gradient, so I wanna try to raise that light up a little bit. You ready, Kate?
Yeah.
Cool. Three, two, one. That's the power level of 9. Don't move. I'm going to go back to 10. I just want to see kind of how we're looking. So, oh, hold on, let's go here before I start clicking the wrong stuff. So it raised the light a little bit. It didn't change too much. It definitely raised that level a little bit. So that's before, and then that's a little more even. So now let's power back up to 10 to more of that proper exposure with the V-flats. And see what we're looking like. 3, 2, 1. And that's nice and even. That looks lovely. And that's great. So again, the downside to shooting into something is that you're gonna lose a little bit of power. And if you're doing this on a battery powered light, that means you're going to, you know, we went up one stop, so we went down in exposures by half. So at 9, we had about 800 full power or 800 shots. At 10, we have 400 shots. So the things, those are just kind of the lines that you have to walk while you're doing this stuff. Granted, I'm shooting at f8, 1/25 of a second, ISO 100. I shoot at that to try to combat the video lights in here because we have a lot of them on. So I try to get rid of the extra light as possible. You could always open up a little bit more and that would help you out a bunch there. So cool. So now we've done stuff with V-flats. We've shot into them. We've shot directly out of them. Let's grab some reflectors real fast, see how we feel about them. No V-flats. The nice thing about the reflectors is they allow us to keep that edge of the light from hitting our subject. I don't know if anyone's kind of seen it in the background right here. We're going to talk about it in the next couple of weeks. But that's the L1600C. That thing is awesome.
Hold on, friends. Let me see. Can you see it better? No,
You see, no, it's
No.
easier on the wide, but that's it right there. Right there. Our new 600 watt light. It's really, really cool. So, with that being said, let's take a couple of these reflectors.
let's see.
Now the zoom position on these reflectors does not reflect the positioning on a flat front light. You want to go to this this right here. So if you look here, there's this cool sticker on these reflectors. Oh, let's try to back it up a little bit. So there's this sticker here, and what it tells you is that at a zoom position of 10, you're going to get a 72-degree beam spread. And at a position of 6, you're going to get a 48-degree beam spread. That's with a exposed dome light, and my B10 doesn't have 6 to 10. So we're just going to go all the way to 5, as wide as we can get it. And we're going to see how well this does. Ready, Kate?
Yeah.
Let's do it. So these are our wide zoom reflectors. So the way that the kind of sandblasted interior works is that it evens out the light quite a bit. It throws the light kind of wide. It's really nice and smooth. Pardon me, babe.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. I'm gonna try to keep them roughly
You
here.
don't need to be standing in front of these lights.
Yeah, it's totally fine. The reflector, in theory, should prevent them from hitting the light from hitting you. And let's see how wide these lights go. Also, we're gonna need to power down because we're shooting direct and we have extra reflectors. So let's just take it down to 10. I know, John, I should be using my light meter to measure this out, but I'm trying to be one of those people who, yeah. I'm a bad boy. I'm a bad boy. I get a leather jacket tomorrow, which is gonna be super fun. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. So wide zooms, I guess roughly correctly. Wait for it to load. There we go. I'm gonna try to aim it up a little bit. As you can see up here, it starts to fall off. Now, I'm also realizing up here, some of this fall off, see how it's a pretty straight line? It's because the light's not making it back behind the edge of the black background. So I have one of the setups that has like 3 papers, 3 rolls of seamless, And some of that gradient, I'm realizing, is definitely from the light not being able to get behind the black paper. But that did a really nice job. Let's just see what happens if we point it up a little bit. Let's do this. I'm gonna go down and just point this up a hair and see if this gives us what we're looking for. So the wide zooms do a good job. They do a super good job. They keep the light off the side of Kate, which is the main goal to prevent any light spilling onto her. Let's do one more shot, Kate, and then we will see if anyone has any other questions, and then we'll say arrivederci. Or I'll summarize everything first, then we'll arrivederci. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. So pointing them up wasn't the best move, at least for these reflectors. You can see we started to vignette out here at the bottom. We definitely got the light more up towards the top, but we started kind of losing here. I could bring the lights, this way, or like towards you a little bit more, but there's a chance that we're gonna actually start illuminating Caitlin with it a little bit. So I don't wanna do that. For the flat front lights, I probably wouldn't go with the wide zoom reflectors. Again, they really are made for the longer zoom of the Pro heads and D4 heads and acute heads and stuff like that. I like just going bare head and blocking the edges of the light. You're gonna get a wider throw. Because coming out of this thing, I believe, off the top of my head, coming out of this is about a 68-degree throw. Whereas even at 10 with that reflector, you're talking about, what, a 72-degree throw. You're not that far off, but you just want to block it. I mean, heck, you could even put a barn door on one side if you wanted to. You could do the OCF barn doors, leave these 3 leaves open, and then just kind of keep this one wide enough to not hit your subject. Barn doors would be great on it, so you could go that route. So if you only have one light and you want a white background, really the only move for you is to put your subject right on the white background and back the light up further. What that's going to allow the light to do is spread out more even over that distance, and it's going to hit your subject in that background at roughly the same power and give you that white background and a properly illuminated subject. 2 lights and you want a white background. I like using a softbox as your background. One, it's going to give you the most consistent results as far as evenness goes. You have the ability to power it up and down, which is nice. So you can decide how white you want the background to be, or if you want to bring it back a little bit, you can make sure you're not flaring. I like that option. Paired with something like the zoom rod. Again, if you're already a B10 user or someone who has the constraints of not being able to go over that 4-foot size, the zoom rod is going to allow, again, that light to be supported by or that modifier to be supported by the stand, and the light just to float in there. But it's going to shoot that light into the softbox, illuminate the whole softbox, and then bring that light back out. I liked that look. That was the first time that we did it, was here on the live. I'll probably do it again. If you would rather use something like a butterfly, like a big 6x6 scrim or a 4x4 scrim or whatever it is that you have, like a shoot through diffusion cloth, I would say 1 light, but use something like a white shallow umbrella. So if you look at it from the side, you can see it's kind of like your standard photography umbrella. I would use white just because the light's going to come out of it a lot more even. It's going to throw the light a little wider than the silver would. And you're going to allow that light to hit this and then come out wider onto that diffusion background that you're using. So again, those are where I would go with 2 lights. If you do it with 2 lights another way, and I'm not thinking of it, please let me know. I love hearing all the creative stuff that you have to say. So again, with 2 lights, your main obviously, and then using either a softbox or an umbrella on your light to shoot through some diffusion. Really, really good move. And then ideally the best way, especially depending on the size of your space, 2 lights from the edges that you can either block with a V-flat. You could use the V-flats to shoot into it, kind of like what we would do with the umbrella here. Shooting into the umbrella back in that diffusion with the 2 light setup. With the V-flat setup, with the 3 light setup, is you can go into the V-flats, make the V-flats a huge light shaping tool, and then those can come back out and slam into that background, giving you a nice even coverage, which I like that move. The downside for shooting into the V flat as opposed to just shooting directly at the background, it's always going to be the loss in power on your light. So again, if you're battery powered, you're going to have to worry about conserving your battery some way or the other. So just something to think about. But I like that option. With the flat front lights, the wide zooms aren't my favorite of the moves. If you're, again, using more of a protruded head D4, a cute head, or a pro head, the wide zooms would be a really, really good option. You kind of you could get that light to spread nice and wide without having to worry about the light from the actual flash tube itself getting on your subject or infiltrating the scene in a place that you don't want it and getting weird reflections. So that's some great ways of lighting a white background and getting that high key look that is really just fun. It's super clean and it just has this really poppy look to it that I love a lot. So any other questions from anybody, or is that it?
Lots of good questions. I think we answered most of them.
Cool.
John was saying that for like a longer studio.
Oh, John's here. I'm sorry, John, I didn't use my light meter. It is right. It is right here, somewhere. It's totally
in the abyss. But he's saying for a longer studio, a longer lens backed up requires less width coverage.
Yes. Yeah. If you can shoot longer, you don't have to shoot so wide. For me, with this shot, I think my lens works out to roughly 50 millimeters in here, I think is kind of what we're working with. And distance wise, just so everyone kind of understands kind of the space that we were working in for it. My camera from the backdrop, I would say 15, maybe 20 feet from the backdrop.
From the backdrop, yes.
Yeah, 15, 20 feet from the backdrop. Kate was kind of a third of that distance from me, so she's probably, what?
I'm 8 feet from
She's probably 10 feet from the backdrop.
10 feet,
yeah, probably 10 feet from the backdrop here. So we had a 10-foot space, 10 foot by kind of the 12-foot space that we have, that we were working in the space where we were illuminating the background.
Yeah. Let's see. Jared said he's been exploring the V flats and he's really enjoying that. Using
V flats
that for the
are
background.
Fun. They're super
fun.
fun.
And then a lot of people seem to agree with that too.
Yeah, the V flats
are an awesome way to go.
Great. It really is a great option, again, because for anyone wondering why shooting into the V flats is such a good option, you're just making the light shaper, you're just making the tool that is illuminating the background bigger, which is going to give you a better chance at illuminating it evenly from edge to edge, top to bottom. So cool. Yeah. Thank you all so much for kicking it with us today. Oh yeah, we have a whole bunch of stuff in the way. I'm going to come over here. We have a lot of soft boxes in the way. So thanks for kicking it with us today. I think white backgrounds are a fun thing to shoot. They're really, really clean. Again, they're fun, they're poppy. They kind of have a vibrancy to them, which is really nice. They can be a little intimidating, especially when you don't realize that you're overpowering them and you're getting all kinds of flare. You know what? Let's overpower the background really, really fast so people can see what we're talking about by flaring the background. I know it's towards the end of the thing, but I want it to be here. Here, Kate. I'm not even gonna.
Getting your money's worth.
I'm not even gonna try to block it. It might hit you, but we're gonna flare.
I'm in here too. I'm in.
Oh, you're getting photographed.
Jumping back in. Let's go.
This is bonus material.
Let's go.
I'm gonna power these up full blast. We're gonna shoot them, and we're going to make the background flare. I'm hoping this will flare the background the way that I want it to.
Where do you want to go?
Just back to your spot.
Like here?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. There we go. We're starting to flare there. Wait for it to pop up. So it's starting to flare now. It's starting to lose some contrast. Honestly, it's not that bad, but we are starting to flare that background a little bit. And so what's going to happen is it's going to drop the contrast. It doesn't look really, really good. And these are one of the things that I had to learn whenever I was shooting a white background. I just kind of threw lights on the background, powered that bad boy up. I was like, white's white. But there is a point in which you can actually make the background go nuclear, and it's going to do really weird stuff to your photos. So again, like John says, get a light meter, measure it. Like I say, get a light meter and measure it, I guess. Sorry, John. Love you again. I threw you that little emoji on Facebook the other day because I knew I wasn't going to use my light meter today. So, but it is there. Funny. It's right there. I was thinking about it, but I knew I wasn't going to. So again, just be careful with overpowering it. It's a beautiful look. With great power comes great responsibility. But yeah, this is super fun. Again, high key white backgrounds, all the different ways you can do it. If you think of ever something else cooler, please let me know. I would love to bring it back up later on and be like, hey, I'm a numbskull. There's other ways of doing this. But in the meantime, I hope you have an awesome rest of your week. See you then. Peace out, everybody.